For those that wonder about USA's homecoming elections, I can tell you that I have lost. Plain and simple. Defeated. And as is the tendency of a soul such as my own, there is a tumultuous conundrum of feelings, thoughts, and fears mulling through my soul at this time. So do take what I am to say with a good dash of salt. There are a number of negative things that are bubbling at the surface of my heart to tell you of this campaign. Oh, many. Things that happened that hurt me dearly. Things that happened that I wish never did. But I will not use this public platform to announce my short-sighted emotionality to all. However, I will give one tidbit of honesty, and I will express my largest concern with the campaign. That I think that the majority was not right today. I said it. But now that I have that off my chest, I will say that in spite of my personal opinion that the majority was wrong, I will say that I am a firm believer in the system of democracy. I respect it dearly. Therefore, the result, I shall not contest. I'm truly happy for that instead it has my blessing, and I wish the winners all the very best for a joyous period for them. I'm happy for the chance they will have to experience a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. May they go in peace in all their ways. So what about me? Here I am though, another blot added to the once white flag of my life. I suppose we all start with that white flag. The common observer might contest that this formerly white flag of my life could have ever been the clean white that I suppose it to have been. It is dastardly, devilishly, tattered, torn, broken, dirty, vile, unloved, devoid of light. From such no good can proceed, you would think. On the surface, they're not incorrect. My life story has been, shall we say, inundated with grandiose, lofty goals that virtually every circumstance failed to come to fruition. This campaign loss, however, will hardly make a dent on that flag. Indeed, it joins but a sea of loss and sorrow. I seem to always set myself goals that are just beyond the pale, just beyond the cusp of reality, just above the stars, just out of reach. The shadow of melancholy that naturally descends upon the loser after his or her discomfiture is a common guest to my house. I suppose one could say that I know failure on a first-name basis. Yet, I will have you know that, in spite of our familiarity, failure is not a pleasant fellow at all. Failure barges into one's house at the worst of times. Failure is inappropriate in its control of the tongue and heart, to be sore and hurt. Failure knocks out the columns of the sturdy structure of self-esteem, only to reveal how fragile it actually was. Failure swoops one down to the lowest ring of hell for to make one think that such is normal and real and one's destiny. Failure blots out the light of hope, has learned to rekindle itself after his every visitation. I despise failure. I wish for it to depart from me, for it feels terrible. But the shadow, the cloud, it passes. The dark and lamentable obstruction of hope has never caused the night to drag on endlessly. The morning, the sun, will come again one day. The tragedy of it all is that we know not when the light will break through the dense and heavy clouds. It may be in the morning, or we may not live to see that day in our physical lifetimes. Yet my heart is fixed, trusting in the Lord my God. I trust this pervasive yet hardly present being, with a hardly reachable being, with more than just the now. His concept of time and perspective I could never fathom. If only we could, maybe today's horrors would be more intelligible. But we look upon a murky, veiled glass of the future, one which no man can decipher. Yet the Lord calls us upon the waters. He calls us into the deep. He calls us beyond our boundaries, beyond the pale. For in His great foresight, He knows where this bosom, this wandering, meandering minstrel, must lay his head to rest one day. For there, where this head doth find his rest, there the world shall be made to know a soul, a story that has never been told before. A story that, in spite of its own shortcomings and dark endings, will establish light, hope for all mankind. One day that day will come, and today's suffering will enlighten the murky glass which no man can see to open our eyes more completely, more fully, the magnificent vision that the Creator has for all of us. Today is not that day. This is an hour of wolves, of shattered shields, of breaking fellowships, of loss, of sorrow, and of tragedy. This shadow will pass, but it must run its full course, its full, beautifully painful course. For if it does not run its intended course, no less than no growth may be procured from its lamentable presence. So I say to failure, to this shadow, stay but for a season. Teach me your lessons, prune me, so that tomorrow when you are gone I may serve as a beacon for my fellow beings who are lost as well, that we may know that we are not as lost as we may think we are. Let your darkness actually be the spark to set the kindling of our souls alight, so that this all-consuming fire may be an ensample for the world of overcoming, of rebounding, of rising again. Let us not descend into the uninnocent, elegant, unmagnificent lives of the lost. Bring us to that promised land that flows with milk and honey. Teach us the skills needed to get there, so that today's loss may one day be seen for what it truly is, a stepping stone to things greater than anything we can dare to imagine. I thank the thousands of people that voted for me. I thank the opposition who ran a hell of a challenging campaign that gave me growth like nothing else. I thank the numerous that helped my campaign. I thank my God for bringing me to this challenge, and I trust in Him to bring me to that promised land. The shadow will teach me more than a cup of victory ever can. And so to the shadow I will say, teach me, grow me, build me, strengthen me, and enlighten me as only you can.